Jasmine and I have been working through some of the operational issues and putting together some team meetings with Lois and the three of us to look through where we could perhaps become more efficient operationally. It's a very successful event. However, it is an event that is supplemented by city dollars, and so we want to make sure that we're running it as efficiently as possible. One of the things that we've come across is that we are currently offering vendors a annual membership, and that they have a reduced rate monthly if they agree to have an annual vendor permit. However, we are not billing annually, we are billing them monthly. And that seemed rather odd to me, and what it is resulting in is that staff is then having to do essentially 11 times more work than one might expect for an annual permit. So we have been discussing operationally, we would like to move towards reducing the amount of billing. We feel like that getting the reduced amount that they pay each month should identify them of paying an annual amount. There's been some discussion about, well, you know, some of the vendors are right on the edge as far as being able to make the dollar amount, and that does seem difficult. All it is really is a $1,700 a year payment, and it would seem that if a vendor is not able to purchase an annual permit to the tune of $1,700, that perhaps they're maybe a little bit too on the edge. And so we wanted to bring it to you to look at a couple things as far as first, we'd like to move away from the monthly billing to get closer to an annual billing. And we would also look at the fee structure, probably not in this go-around, but in future years. And so I wanted to just pass that by the board to see if there were any real red flags that jumped out at you as far as shifting from a monthly billing for our annual vendors to a once-a-year billing.
I guess the only question I would have is, how would the vendors feel about it?
Yeah, I'm a 12-month payer.
We do expect...
Yeah, a lot of people are.
We do expect that, you know, not everyone's going to love this. And we expect that we'll get some pushback of, my gosh, I can't afford this. It just seems, at least to me, completely contrary to offer an annual amount, yet bill them on a monthly. It's almost like we're sort of doing two things at once. So, at least from the staff perspective, if we're going to offer a reduced rate for an annual permit, it ought to be an annual permit, not a sort of monthly sort of kind of annual permit.
I have just maybe a suggestion,
Sure.
And that would be for those that can't afford to come up with the annual amount, you know, to receive a discount. Perhaps you could add some type of surcharge if they could only pay on a monthly basis. I mean, I would hate to lose a vendor because they couldn't come up, you know, this is such a seasonal area that we know June, July, and August, most people don't have $1,700 to pay.
Have you explored other alternatives like quarterly billing? Or
right.
We have. I neglected to say part of the reason that we're exploring this, and Jasmine may have to help me with this, what we're seeing is someone can come in and say, I wish to be an annual vendor, and we will give them the reduced amount. They can then, during the summer months, pay but not show up. And they are paying less than someone who would be seasonally. So the intent of the annual reduction in price was to reward those who stayed for the full season through the summer months. And unfortunately, people are finding a way around that.
But I've been wondering since day one, someone signs up for a year as a yearly vendor, and then 9 months later say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm moving to Michigan. Then what? We have to chase after them and sue them, or what happens? It's always been a concern of mine since this became, you know, the way that we were doing the fees.
And it did grow out of an equity issue with the other vendors, that someone could say that they were an annual vendor but yet just not show up in the summer, and they end up paying less than someone who's sort of on the up and up. So we're sort of rewarding bad behavior. And then on top of that, administratively, you know, you're paying staff to be invoicing people when.
Right.
So yes, we did explore quarterly. We decided that quarterly would not work because they just basically wouldn't pay that summer one. They'd go away. Then we shifted to, well, maybe we could do it 3 times a year. Would that work? Sort of the same kind of issue. It gets fuzzy as it gets closer to that summer season. So we really ended up with an annual payment was sort of the cleanest way to ensure that they were annual vendors by paying the money up front at $1,700
Opposed to,
Monthly.
as opposed to monthly.
which can be
Comes out to-
what, like,
If they paid an annual permit for the 12-month period is, I think it's $1,780, something like that. If you paid the season 1 amount, I believe it was $2,000.
Yes.
And the summer season, I'm not remembering what that amount was. So it is significantly cheaper. It ends up about $145 a month for an annual. $200 a month, $250 for a high season. So the reason that
Go ahead.
that we created the annual permit was to reward those who are staying through the summer. What we're finding is it's not working. And so in an effort to be equitable to those who do stay through the summer, we wanted to sort of close that loophole and really get people who want to be here year-round that good rate.
and it is a good rate. And
Very
you know,
good
one of the incentives
Jeez.
could be you pay up front, like you're saying, and then you have it for the year, whether you show up or not, but you're getting this very big discount. And then the city doesn't have to worry about chasing after people that haven't paid for the summer who leave.
Right.
Get them when they come back.
Have you thought about the ramifications if, people can't pay? We'll just simply work that out as we go, or this will just be the way it
They
is?
could still do
They'll
it.
resort back to a seasonal vendor. So
Which-
you'll be paying season 1 and season 2 fees.
Okay.
But we discussed starting it in October,